Welcome back everybody to Huobi Live. My name is Ducko, your host this evening, and tonight we are joined by a very special guest, Dean, the CEO of Agoric. How are you doing, Dean? Welcome to the stream.
I am doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Really looking forward to it. And shout out to everybody watching in the official Huobi Global app. Shout outs to everybody in the live chat box. Please leave us comments. Let us know which country you're watching from and how you're feeling this evening or day, depending on which part of the world you're from. And I do believe there will be a candy drop during this live stream. So please put up your feet, grab some snacks, and enjoy the ride. Yeah. Now, Dean, I want to get started first. For the people who don't know you, please could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how and why you decided to get into crypto?
Sure. I started a long time ago. I worked on the first production smart contract in 1989, where these ideas of smart contracts were just starting. And it was all been driven, literally, for Agoric, the company vision has been driven by the same thing, which is software enabling people to cooperate.
Yep.
Right. So, smart contracts allow strangers to cooperate, and that kind of cooperation is something that was new in the world. We got it with, the eBays and PayPals and all those kinds of things. But now, blockchain enables us to get more of it and enable more, DeFi cooperation and basically get a more cooperative world. And that's what got me into it.
Sorry, my microphone played up. So, now, with crypto, what was the very first crypto that you ever got into, though?
I had lots of arguments about Bitcoin, but I really got into crypto, about 5 years ago, where it was where we were excited by, the Polkadot and the Cosmoses of the world,
Yep.
where there was a toolkit for building more blockchains. You could take a consensus engine and then build more amazing stuff on top of it. And so we knew that, we knew what we had to add to the world was above the consensus layer, and we wanted to work with teams that already were deep into the consensus part of the system, the things that Cosmos, for example, already does.
Okay, cool. So now you're the CEO of, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Agoric. How do you pronounce
Agoric.
it?
Yeah.
Agoric. So can you tell us a bit about Agoric and what makes it unique?
Sure. So first off, just in name history, it comes from the Greek word agora, which means the open marketplace, right? And the Agoric open systems papers were written by my co-founder, Mark Miller, in 1988, that really articulated the idea of software agents creating and participating in markets. So it's part of the crypto canon that lots of people read, and anyone out there who hasn't read it, they're fascinating papers that still are inspiring today. So Agoric is about smart contracts, right? Software that is enforcing the terms of a contract-like arrangement between third parties. And that's what enables people to cooperate, is the software orchestrated and enforced the terms of their arrangement. But to make that really blossom in the world, it needs to be something that millions of programmers can do. So the Agoric platform enables writing smart contracts in JavaScript. So instead of tens of thousands of developers, it can support millions of developers that already know how to program that. And that's going to be the big difference for getting from where we are to mainstream use of blockchain and smart contract, is enabling millions of developers.
So could you give us an example of how this could benefit a developer? One of the millions of developers. Just an example. Yep.
Yeah. How about I give two?
Sure, as many as you want.
There's a lot of people that work at banks or at brokerage houses, Morgan Stanley's, all those kinds of places, that are expert at financial technology. They've got lots of great ideas. They have built lots of stuff. And they looked at blockchain and went, this is not ready, right? It's got too many security hazards. I'll go work at my buddy's hedge fund instead, until your development tools are kind of farther along. Those people, when they look and they go, oh, JavaScript, that controls $1 trillion now in brokerage terminals. I can build with that. I can use my current tools. I can use my current testing. I know how to ship that. That I could do, right? Similarly, on the NFT front, right? all of the innovation in sports sites, fan sites, engagement with customers, sales sites, all that, is being innovated now without blockchain in the Web 2 space in the world, right? There are fancy music sites, and those are all being innovated in JavaScript, right? It's being innovated by JavaScript programmers, enabling those people to go ahead and build the smart contract piece and do something custom for them instead of having to go and find one of the rare and expensive smart contract developers right now.
Which can be very time consuming too.
Exactly, time consuming, slow, security ridden, but now I can hire, the programmer I already know to build my website, and we want to enable them to be able to build, smart contracts as well.
Nice.
Much bigger growth.
All right. Did you want to give us another example? Because you sound like you had a couple more.
The two were like, the fintech developer being able to roll out the next generation of DeFi with, where they're already experts in, options and derivatives and all these things, but they've built lots of stuff. And then just, people that are doing in the NFT world, both of those, those are very different vertical spaces, but they already have literally millions of programmers that write in JavaScript that can do this stuff. And so we want to empower those people. So any mainstream application right now probably has a JavaScript developer nearby that help build it and make it usable by normal humans, right? We want to enable those people to build the whole thing, right? If you can build a web app now, you ought to be able to build a Web3 app, in a year.
I must say, I love your enthusiasm, your energy, and your passion. I mean, you should be on TV more often, I think. You've probably been told that, have you?
We do have a lot of videos on our channels that you can get from our website. So there are a fair number of videos of either me or someone else here. There's a lot of us that have been doing this kind of technology for a long time, and we've done a lot of shipping disruptive technologies out to mainstream markets as well, right? My previous gig was a multi-billion-dollar payment instrument. And this is all about having computers help people, and smart contracts, and the smart contracts we're building on it, are things that that are just really exciting to us. So.
And I can see the excitement. I can feel the excitement emanating from you on the other side.
I love this stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, could you talk about the team and its history?
Sure. I mentioned myself since '89, I've been doing lots of large-scale distributed system stuff. Yep. My co-founder, Mark Miller, as I said, wrote the book on some of this distributed system technology back in 1988, and we've collaborated with other people that are now at Agoric in a variety of different environments and different companies. We've had people that, Mark has been on the JavaScript Standards Committee for 15 years. Our COO, Mike Jablon, took voice over IP from $0 to $2 billion a year in revenue at Time Warner Cable when voice over IP was innovative and disruptive. We have people that were in, out of Lucasfilm Games that did some of the early games. Chip Morningstar coined the term Avatar, right? Yep. We also have, a couple of young folks out of Stripe or out of Google or out of various other places that have been doing payments or business applications or user interface infrastructure. Yeah. All sort of the pieces you need for the end to end of I don't know if you our mantra of build fast, earn fast, right? Being able to have JavaScript and libraries and a component model and all the kind of modern framework things, all the way through to, how do I deploy this as a business, and how do I do a user interface that can interact with a customer and all those sorts of things. That whole journey, we've got people that have been working on different parts of that space. So we're very excited to be able to bring that end-to-end ability to build and ship stuff out to the world.
Wow. So with the name, I was actually going to ask you this before that last question there, but with the name Agoric, how did you come up with that? Like, how did you decide that? I mean, are you Greek, or do you have a background that's Greek, or you got the Greek moustache happening? So maybe I'm onto something here, but or is that a secret that you can't talk about?
No, I'm not Greek. I'm half Swiss, but no. So as I said, it comes from the Agoric Open Systems papers. So this was an inspiration of Mark Miller and Eric Drexler. Where how do you identify that open systems and marketplaces together are very powerful. That economies are not here. Everyone run inside of this box, or everyone run on this single blockchain, or everyone do things all a certain way. They're about multiple systems loosely coupled, cooperatively engaging in commerce and trade and whatever it is they do. And that's, an inspiring model of freedom, of, free choice and free open networks where people can, do what they want to do and cooperate with people successfully. And so it was just an inspiring, vision that those two in the community around them had about how should software help humans cooperate, right? It's not, here's the rules you have to follow, but here's enabling technology so you can choose to engage with other people out there. And that's the kind of world I want to live in.
Nice, me too. I'm with you all the way on that one. So
then systems like React and Vue came out. These are frameworks in JavaScript for building applications, for building user interfaces and they enable and leverage the object-oriented programmers of JavaScript to really enable a component environment. And 6 months after these frameworks came out, amateur developers could do a better job, more responsive, more internationalizable, more adaptive, more interactive application than experts could the year before.
Really?
Because of the framework allowed them to grab components from other people and pull them together. So you could have an artist grab a slideshow and a credit card processor and plug them together and deploy a new art site for themselves, even though they could never build that slideshow. And so we do the same kind of framework, only now it's for trading assets and pricing and exchange and escrow and and auctions and all the kinds of things necessary for rich applications and rich economy. And so it's, you can program with familiar tools in a familiar language. You can afford to hire more programmers, and you get to use this compositional model so you can grab the components that we've already built or that other people in the ecosystem that are not at Agoric have already built. So, for example, right, we have folks that are building there's a case study of someone who built a hierarchical NFT system. What's a hierarchical NFT?
What is it? What is that?
That's right. I've got a game character. Right now, you do these NFTs. It's a Bored Ape or it's a chimp or whatever it is, and they're smoking, and you don't want that, right? I've got a game character, and then I can buy a different mask or a hairdo or a background or if it's part of a game character, the magic items. I acquire them some way from other people. I get those as NFTs, and I can go, this is really valuable, and I don't really need it, I'll sell it, or I've got two, or whatever it is, right? And I can equip them, and now my character is an NFT itself that I could sell or trade or what have you, that has all the NFT equipment that I have, right? So you've got this not the simple model of this was randomly generated this way, but instead I can engage in construction and put together an NFT that's just like I want, right? And those are small smart contracts that could now be reused for lots of different purposes, whether it's games or art or collaborative art, or the NFTs are bills of lading, and I'm attaching packages onto an NFT that represents the bill of lading of an entire cargo container, right? So there's all these kinds of mechanisms you might use that new rich notion of property, and yet I get to pick it up as a library and just use it, right? And I can take it and I can grab a governance component, and now I want to be able to take this cool new kind of thing that is this hierarchical NFT character, and I'm going to auction it off, but I don't know how to build an auction. So I'll grab an auction component, and this one's well reviewed and it's been security audited and all that sort of thing. So it's that kind of thing where we can get a component model out there that's the kind of modern framework people are used to for building rich and fancy applications. Only now I can do it with, as I said, these business components.
And it sounds like it's a lot easier.
Components. Exactly. A lot easier and a lot safer, because these have been already audited. They plug together with good interfaces, right? It really does earn the term, DeFi Legos, right? Or governance Legos or NFT Legos or whatever it is.
So user friendly, and it's what's that word? They I forgot that word. when you're onboarding someone, seamless.
Seamless. Yeah.
Seamless.
Well,
That's the word.
I had a great one of our advisors, Naval. He was like, it's like, wait, you're saying too much. Programmability. It's like, okay,
programmability. That narrows it down. So speaking of programmability, what projects are currently building on Agoric, or are there even any projects building on Agoric at the moment?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll start with two in the spaces that I mentioned, and then I'll end with the big one that we'll transition to. So we had a conference in May, the Gateway conference for sort of Cosmos ecosystem, and two of our projects actually presented there. So it wasn't just that they're building on it; they're building on it with deep enough understanding of the model to teach other people. So one is this hierarchical NFT project that I mentioned, which then published a case study about what it took, what they built, how you might use it, and there's an artist that's using it to build up this rich space of NFTs. And so those components are now open source and part of the ecosystem and reusable by other parties, and there's people that have expressed interest. And they will be again presenting at upcoming events like the next Cosmoverse in Medellin. And then there's another project that is building a lending platform, a compound-like lending platform, and they're using components that have been built for other purposes as well. Some of them as backing components that are part of the IST project. So that's the third one, and that's really the first one to roll out. Will be the inter-stable token, the inter protocol. And that is a set of smart contracts and smart contract components that are all reusable by third parties, that are all reusable in other projects, as seen by this lending platform.
Yep.
But it is to do a stable token that is deep part of the Cosmos and beyond ecosystem, the interchain ecosystem, where it can bring assets over the interchain like Atom or Osmo or what have you, over the interchain to the Agoric platform, use them as collateral to mint IST, the interstable token, and then you can take IST over to other chains to spend them, buy things, put them in yield farms, put them in pools, whatever it is that those other chains are doing. They can now use a stable token that is backed not just by their local assets, unlocking the power of their local assets, but also by all the other assets in the interchain.
Okay,
so that's pretty exciting.
So IST is the stable coin, correct?
IST is the stable token.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is that.
I refer to it as a stable token because coin or not, I don't care.
True. You're true. You got a point. All right. So and that's out now.
No, that is in the we're in last test phases of that. And that'll be coming out, so the code is available, it's open source, it's on test networks, we're doing test bridges with other projects, and that'll be coming out in the next month, a little more than a month.
Okay, so it's not too far off. Cool.
Not too far. Yeah.
All right.
And that's not just Agoric working on it, that's other people outside of Agoric. I mean, this is an ecosystem. The power of blockchain ecosystem and the power of decentralization is it's not just us. There are other groups that are pushing elements forward because they see the vision of this programmable world, and they're excited by it. And so it is a long-term project with lots of people helping to push this vision forward because it's one that inspired them to get into crypto in many cases. The vision that drives this inspired the whole interchain architecture and inspired the IBC protocol itself before we were even involved in blockchain, right? And so there's a long history here, and so there's a lot of people behind it pushing.
You gave us an example earlier about games and NFTs. Are you by any chance a gamer yourself?
Yes.
And what's your favorite game at the moment? If you have a favorite game at the moment, that's I'm asking because I'm a gamer as well.
Okay, so I really love co-op games.
Yep.
Playing with my friends, not against them. I'm all about software helping cooperation, right? So it's in my gaming.
Yeah,
too.
right. Yeah.
The ones that I have played regularly over the last many years are probably Diablo the most.
Oh, really?
And I used to play Warcraft. I don't play now. And And there's a few older games because the main thing is I have only a little bit of time to play, and I play it in order to spend time with my friends that are remote. And so older games work just fine for that. I have installed Elden Ring, I think it is, but mostly I have friends come over and play it, and I haven't touched it.
It's boring, bro. It is absolutely boring. I downloaded it and I played it for 20 minutes, and I was like, nah. It was too slow and clunky.
Not for you. Yeah.
Too slow and clunky. And I didn't know that other players can leave messages in the game, so I thought the messages were the game instructing me, like a tutorial.
No,
so then it said, walk this way, and there was a cliff that went all the way down.
Yeah, smart ass.
Yeah, and so I went over it, and I died. I'm like, are you serious? It instructed me, and then I found out it's not the game, it's other players that leave him there.
That's right. Yeah. So, no. So, I think the last ones that I played were like Dungeon Siege, because that's sort of an old standard that, I like flash and sizzle, but I really like gameplay. And it had good gameplay that we enjoy, and it's got a replayability, and so same with Diablo. It has gameplay that I enjoy, and and it fits in my time budget to be able to play. So
didn't a new one come out a few months ago as well, Diablo?
Well, Diablo 3. Diablo 4 is in progress. So I mostly played Diablo 3. Oh yeah, Diablo 2 came out, which I have and I haven't played yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
Diablo 2 Revisited or whatever it is.
Revisited. All right, so now the Inter protocol is the first launching on Agoric. Could you tell us a bit more about it? Be a bit more specific, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the critical thing to us is we're building a new economy. And we understand we're building a new economy, right? The Agoric economy was always envisioned as, you want the build fast, earn fast means you need an economy to launch your business in that has people and that has, that has a stable token, because we learned thousands of years ago that economies work better with the grease of a stable token, a stable currency, whatever you want to call it, to be able to grease the wheels of commerce, right? And and you can do this model of Ethereum and others where they're paying for routine services with a speculative token that's volatile, right? And you can do that, but it's like paying your rent with Apple shares. It works, but it means you're not sure whether your rent is twice as much next month or you got a discount, right? Because it depends on the price of this volatile asset. So it's just sand in the gears of commerce. And so we have always been on this path to roll out a stable token that really is stable. And it's not about, sucking profits out of the stable token. It's about greasing the wheels of the commerce that we all want to grow. And so that's what IST is, and it was envisioned where we would start by having it backed by build and then by other assets on the system, and then we got into the Cosmos ecosystem, and it turns out we had inspired the inter-blockchain communication protocol, and it was sort of had this vision of independent, isolated islands of simple, straightforward programming in a sea of asynchronous communication. And in that environment, we can bring Atom over as collateral and so forth. And so the whole model of this CDP style, MakerDAO style stable token, that is a robust model for how people do currency, right? I mean, much of the currency in the physical world, the fiat currency you get out of governments, actually comes from real estate deals where I've got an asset that's going to go up and down in value, and I borrowed some money to be able to pay for it, right?
Oh, that's a whole can of worms. That's another can of worms. If you want to open it, feel free to open it, but that's a whole another can of worms, man.
It's an analogy that helps people understand how you can have, $200 worth of Atom, mint $100 worth of IST against it. The Atom goes up in value, but your IST is robustly backed, right? But the vision of IST, like the vision of our overall system, is about pluggable components. So we've got, so we'll have the ability to mint with vaults of volatile collateral, right? Which is, the robust way of having a large-scale stable token. We've got pluggable components to do different styles of liquidation, but we'll also be able to take USDC or other kinds of reference stable coins that people already have and be able to bring it and convert those over to IST. right? Transfer them into IST. So now, if you're in the interchain ecosystem, you could just use IST, even if you're starting from, DAI or USDT or USDC or whatever it is. Any of these things that are robust tokens, bring them in up to some debt limit, and they could potentially be honored in the system. And that'll be determined by the ecosystem and by the community, is exactly which collateral types, which stable tokens can be used as reference, that kind of thing. But the model is this extensible, growable thing, because economies are live things. They grow over time. We're learning over time, and we'll be able to do more and better kinds of mechanisms for robust, solvent backing for stable tokens going into the future. And so the whole evolvable, pluggable model is critical to having something that's going to be able to survive more than, and thrive with a growing economy.
Wow. So where could communities go to get involved? Do you have a website, socials?
Absolutely.
Hit me.
So agoric.com is our website.
Yep.
It's got, high level intro to a bunch of the ideas and concepts.
Yep.
We have, I think at Agoric on Twitter, and we have a Telegram group. But if you're a builder, join Discord. That's where the communities of builders are that are building smart contracts in this platform now. Yep. And as we, we'll talk more about the roadmap, but as we roll out, first inter-protocol and IST, then chain permission rollout of additional things where, like this NFT infrastructure or lending platform, what have you, is the kind of things that the community might get excited about, where the core contracts, once they're rolled out, can be used for multiple purposes by multiple people, and then eventually completely permissionless access. Those are sort of the big phases of the rollout over time of the Agoric platform. And then the other website to go to is inter.trade, INTER.trade. That's where the extended community in the interchain is talking about the inter-protocol. And that's, and off there you can get to the governance forums, there'll be upcoming forums for more general discussion, you can get to Discord, Twitter, Telegram, sort of the usual suspects, but we have people live there that are excited to talk about this stuff.
Wow, nice. Now, what I wouldn't mind doing is just having a quick look at your website, going through it together, and I might read it out to the viewers, to the audience, and at any time, if you wish to stop me, just jump in there like a lion and stop me if you want to add some more information to it before you forget. So I don't want you waiting until I finish going through the website, because you might forget. So just stop. Feel free to stop me.
And I'm such a shy and retiring personality that,
So yeah, feel free to stop me at any time as I go through this. So agoric.com, to the audience watching, build fast, earn fast. Now that's a catchphrase I really like, because that's what I'm all about. I like to get in and out and next. That's
Yep, absolutely.
That's me. So I'm part of your target market here already, just from the first get-go. All right, so a proof of stake chain utilizing secure JavaScript smart contracts to rapidly build and deploy DeFi. Why you'll build faster? Well, you can save time by using a pre-built smart contract components and dApps. They're secure, composable, and let you get your project out the door pronto. Now,
and you probably also already know the programming language.
Most likely.
You can build faster if you don't have to go learn this strange programming language.
There you go. Which takes us back to seamless and ease of use. I like that word, seamless. So now we have the composable library. So Agoric offers a library of reusable, composable components coded by experienced community members just like you. JavaScript first. Use familiar tooling to build smart contracts in secure JavaScript. As you grow, be confident of hiring. Your pool of experienced developers won't dry. Secure architecture. By eliminating categories of complex security bugs, Agoric provides builders with a safer environment to quickly harden your contracts.
I will jump in there.
Yep.
So one of the most important ones Brian Warner is one of our engineers. He was on the security review committee for Ethereum and pointed out that reentrancy was going to be a problem. At this point, I think people estimated we've lost $9 billion to reentrancy bugs, right?
Really?
And so there's a lot of interesting, well-hardened programs on Ethereum, but wow, we paid a price for it. So that is not the place to innovate, right? We can take the programs that are there and bring them over to these, these new EVM areas, but innovating in Solidity is very dangerous, right? So now the other thing I wanted to mention, you talk about secure JavaScript a bunch. We have since renamed that hardened JavaScript. I hadn't realized we still had secure JavaScript so many places. The nice thing about hardened is focusing not just on security, but on, on determinism, and sort of general system robustness. And so since that hardened JavaScript has now, for example, become the standard approach for embedded systems JavaScript, if you can believe that, right? Watches and washers and dryers and light bulbs all have JavaScript in them. Well, they have our hardened JavaScript. So it's a thing.
Wow. So I was just having a quick look at the live chat in the official Huobi Global app as you were talking. I was having a very sneak peek because I can't resist myself sometimes. And I am looking at an interesting question. And if you don't mind me asking, it's to do with Agoric, of course, and with gaming. And this question comes from someone called Meta Troopers, and they're asking, I'm actually curious about this too, does Agoric benefit more to gaming developers?
Yes. So there are a couple of big important ways we benefit to gaming developers. And it's still early days, but obviously, Tendermint, consensus engine, 5-second blocks, fast finality, that's critical to be able to move things along quickly for doing, rich transactions. JavaScript is something that lots of gaming developers, 80% of them already know and program in, and there's a lot of games already built that way in game infrastructure. And they can build the smart contract infrastructure and the smart contracts that they want to use for their gaming stuff in the same tooling and in the same environment that they're building the front end for their games for, that they're building the front end for the website for their games for, right? So they already have the expertise they know to be able to build not just the game, but to be able to extend it to the parts that are critical trading infrastructure or their new property model for how they're doing, magic items or what have you. It took an engineer like 3 days to go from we support fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, and then we added semi-fungible tokens where I can have an issuer that is issuing, magic weapons, whatever it is, and there's the NFTs that are unique magic weapons, and then here's the ones that are uncommon, and there's 500 of them, and the common ones of which there's 10,000, and the common magic swords are all fungible with each other, but they're not fungible with the uncommon ones and vice versa. And that turns out to work well for what you actually want to do in gaming, where fungible tokens don't quite work and non-fungible tokens don't quite work. So you have a bunch of, clumsy new standards in, Ethereum or what have you for doing, this mixed hybrid kind of environment. But for us, it was a simple new abstraction. All the existing escrow worked, all the existing, auctions worked, the wallet worked for it, so that all these components that people already build, when we enhanced how you could do property, it just worked for them, right? And that same model of semi-fungible token was originally inspired by a hackathon entrant that did recycling credits, like carbon credits, where you could have 40 tons of aluminum recycling versus 10 tons of plastic recycling. Aluminum was fungible with other aluminum kilograms, and plastic was fungible with itself, but plastic and aluminum were not fungible, but they were all issued by the same vendor. And so that same model works for concrete high-end industrial applications or gaming, right?
Yeah. That was a very good question by Meta Trooper in the official Huobi Global app. Thank you for that.
Thank you. That was a great question.
Good question and great answer as well. Very good answer. So back to where we were. Now we've got market services and cross-chain assets, easy access to liquidity and DeFi services, including Treasury Vault governance and the automated market maker. We have cross-chain assets, bringing assets from the Cosmos and Ethereum networks directly to your project. A world of users and opportunities at your fingertips. There is also resource management where Agoric components help keep your focus on building your application, not on complex protocol integrations and third-party code. So the website goes on to state, we've been working in smart contracts for decades, literally.
Yep.
As you mentioned earlier at the start as well. And since long before it was called blockchain, Agoric was founded on open source principles optimized for a booming collaborative and public economy. And that's
what we love.
And that's how you'll thrive in the Agoric
That's
economy.
right. That's right. Yep.
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Now,
Yeah. One of the things, one of the things about blockchains is, it's always been, what's your value capture story? When we were going and raising money, it's like, what's your value capture? How are you capturing any value to your base token? And especially for proof of stake systems, it is actually critical that the value of the underlying token grows with the amount of economic activity on top of it, because otherwise you won't have the proof of stake security that everyone is relying on to protect them, right? That's actually an important element of the engineering design. It also means it would be good for token holders, or rather people that are actively staking their token in order to participate in the economy. But it's critical for the engineering architecture of the security of proof of stake. And so for us, right, it's not about mining, it's not about extracting rents from gas fees. That turns out to be a bad idea. That's like, rewarding, getting excited about economies that put more traffic on the road rather than transit more business, right? Yes, growing the business in your area might put more traffic on the road, but the traffic is not the goal, and the traffic is not the thing you want to pay for, right? So for us, what the reward comes right now initially from staking, sort of direct new minting, which is sort of standard in proof of stake for a bootstrap period. But the goal is IST rewards coming from the economy. So all the fees for, what small fees there are, the fees for minting IST, the local stable token in Agoric, those fees go into a reward pool that are distributed out to staked build holders, right? And so that means that as the usage of IST, as the amount of economy, now primarily this was envisioned as on the Agoric platform, but now it extends to more of the interchain, as the amount of economic activity inspired by this infrastructure grows, the amount of rewards grow, which means that it is attributed to the staked build in the system that's enabling this environment, enabling these smart contracts to function. And so that's sort of the integration and the way in which IST is intrinsic to the overall Agoric platform. It is its own thing. It will have its own legs, but it's intrinsic to the Agoric platform, both because it provides reward to the build holders and because it's what is used to pay for execution on the Agoric system, on the Agoric blockchain.
Wow. So, which brings us to the public chain. So, where market participants bid to have their transactions confirmed by validators, stakers delegate their native staking token to validators to incentivize the correct execution of transactions and are rewarded for securing the network. So
proof of stake.
Yes, a proof of stake. So Agoric has its own token, right?
Yes.
And that token handle is
BLD, build.
Build.
So really emphasize this focus is on enabling builders to build, right? That's the foundational thing for being able to deploy a new and thriving economy is, builders. We have to enable builders to build, and that, DevRels and once we launch IST and get all that going, right? Enabling builders is the thing.
So would I be able to stake BLD to get more BLD, or will I be staking BLD to get more IST, or both?
So there are already build rewards for BLD.
Yep.
And those will grow over time for a while. That's the bootstrap phase.
Yep.
And once IST launches, then there will be, once all the elements of IST launch, we're going to do a staged launch.
Yep.
But once the IST launches, then there will be IST rewards as well. So initially there will be both rewards. IST rewards will grow with the economy. Once they pass some threshold, then the build rewards are expected to taper off.
So is the BLD token inflationary, or is there a burn mechanism that keeps it deflationary? Like how exactly? What do I expect?
It is inflationary. Yeah. So it's like Atom in Cosmos Hub. It's inflationary. I think the current new minting rate, though I hate the term inflationary there because our economists wince every time we say it. But so there is new minting, 5% a year right now is what that was just got proposed in July, or June or July or something, and got turned on. And the expectation, the plan has always been that would go up, and then after a couple of years that would taper down as IST rewards take over.
Okay.
And it's the growth of IST, right? It's the growth of IST that reflects the growth of the economy, right? That's one of those. I mean, the bigger your economy, the more IST that it needs. The more value the platform is driving, that helps drive value to staking, and provide staking rewards.
Okay, awesome. Now, I know I did ask you earlier about the roadmap, but we're on the roadmap section of the site now. So we've got quarter 3 for 2022, the mainnet phase 1 platform preview release, and then I'm going backwards, aren't I? So
you're going backwards.
Let's go stop. Let's take it from the top. So quarter 3 2021 ticked. Security audit kickoff. You've completed the BLD token distribution. The mainnet phase 1 has been ticked off as well. Then we've got the mainnet phase 1 platform preview release, the mainnet phase 1 inter-protocol launch, and then we have mainnet phase 2 permissioned smart contracts, and mainnet phase 3 permissionless smart contracts. So is everything going as planned so far, or has there been any hiccups along the way? Any delays?
There are science projects there. There's always hiccups, right? There's COVID.
That's crypto for you.
COVID was a hiccup, right?
That's crypto.
But in terms of our roadmap, the set of stages has been surprisingly stable. Because stable is what we're all about right now.
No pun intended.
What's funny is we were planning to do exactly this rollout just for the Agoric platform. And when we were at some of these conferences talking to other people in the Cosmos ecosystem, many of whom, have helped, have contributed expertise, money, dollars, connection, everything else, right?
Yep.
And they heard what we're doing. It's just like, oh my gosh, a stable token backed by Atom. When can we have it? We need this, right? And that's what got, we changed gears from, oh, right, our stable token is not just for Agoric, it's for the whole interchain. I mean, that's what we need, is not, I don't want a currency that I can only spend at a local amusement park. I want a currency I can spend, on my business or on, buying Christmas presents or whatever the heck it is, right? And so that sort of, we were already planning to launch in that range, in that order, but suddenly it became a much bigger deal. So we're on this roadmap. We've got several test nets that we've been running for IST, including stress nets with economists that are trying to find breaking scenarios for liquidations or what have you, as well as bridges to a few other projects in Cosmos that are planning to use IST.
Yep.
We've got some final features and security audits to get in, and then we will have the platform preview release coming real soon now, with a goal towards the inter-protocol launch, in the next couple of months here. So people should tune into upcoming community calls and that sort of thing, because we'll talk a lot more detail about specifically what order of events or what are we doing to launch portions of the inter-protocol, and gradually, all of these things you want to walk before you run. So you want to get started, enable IST, then add more, add market depth and collateral and all these kinds of things. So we're on this roadmap. There are always hiccups, but you're an engineering organization to deal with hiccups, right? It's not that hiccups don't happen. It's that you have an experienced team members that know how to, how to cope with them and keep the ball rolling. So.
Well, that's the thing with testnets as well. You don't want to see and hear everything is going smoothly, especially during testnet phase, because that's not what testnet is for. Testnet is to deliberately find what is wrong, what can go wrong, what are the bugs, where are the bugs, how are these bugs, executed, and that's exactly what you want to find problems in a testnet.
Absolutely, yeah. And we had a very big incentivized testnet phase last year for a lot of the general infrastructure for the sort of this mainnet 3 by the time we get there. And let me tell you, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
And did a lot of engineering as a result, as well as, again, we were planning to roll out the stable token for local use, which would have had relatively small demand. Now suddenly, it's rolling out to be a potential solution to the $10 billion interchain market. And that's just a much bigger deal. So we've got to have all the liquidation, all these mechanics just have to be well understood and work well together and all those sorts of things. And that just requires a lot of system testing and different configuration. And so, we've deployed lots of systems previously, and so arranging that is something we know how to do, and it just takes time. You discover things, you fix them, you move on to the next thing.
I know if I was involved in a project and we were running a test net for, let's say, even 6 months, and they came back to me and said we found nothing wrong in 6 months, I'd be like, shit. Oh, no, no,
you got a security audit, and they said everything's wonderful. Yeah. Can you at least tell us what you tested?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Can you tell us what you tested? Because that's kind of scary. I don't believe nothing went wrong.
We've had people who have done a lot of secure systems engineering, from secure OSs to large-scale commercial systems and financial payment instruments and so forth. Yeah. So many of our security reviews have, in fact, come back, relatively speaking, glowing. Yeah. But what we required was, really deep understanding of what did they analyze and how do we know that they would have found something if it was there, or have a good understanding of what could have gone wrong and really did work to test that we had addressed these things. And so, you can do that, but you'd better be real sure, well, we did this and we understand the following about the architecture, and that turns out to have the properties you look for, so we tried these other things and they proved that the properties were there. And so we've gotten some that are like that. So I am happy to report that, those will be published in the next, couple of months, that show that, because a big chunk of our system is novel security architecture that's inspired by secure operating systems. And so it is quite different from, the EVM models of the world. And so getting that through review, where we made sure that we had experts that really did understand how it is that components were segregated from each other and yet could compose well. That was a big, important milestone to get over in our journey through security audits to be able to get to production. And so very happy about that.
Yeah, I bet. Now, just quickly back to your website. We've got how your assets are protected. There's a complete security architecture, which means you can get to focus on building your vision. For developers, focus on what your smart contract does best, while easily partitioning risk and protecting yourself from bugs in third-party code, all in the familiar language of JavaScript. And for market participants, with our smart contracts, you will either get what you wanted or get a full refund, even if the smart contract is buggy or malicious. Now, those are some words of confidence right there.
That's right. This is the smart contract. Remember, I talked about a framework matters. This is the smart contract framework we call Zoe. The property you just described is called offer safety. And like any safety property, memory safety, concurrency safety, type safety, really is a class of bugs that simply don't happen anymore, right? With the right concurrency architecture, you just don't get reentrancy bugs, right? They're just gone. They're just off the table. Yep. With the right memory architecture, you just don't get dangling pointer bugs that were the scourge of all the software that people deployed in the 80s, written in C++, right? And so offer safety means, yes, it's not throw money at a random number and hope something good happens, which is my characterization of most blockchain UI right now is exactly that. You go through a beautiful interface and then it says, so did you want to send 3 ETH to 0x9574? I don't know. Right? Maybe. I'm not sure that. And instead, we have this model of offers where business is quid pro quo. There's another. Now we're in Latin rather than Greek, right? Where I'm going to give you this IST in exchange for that NFT. Right? And if you can't give me the NFT, if I don't win the auction, you don't get my money, right? I get my money back, right? Or if the auction's taking too long, I rescind my offer, give me my money back so I can exit, right? And the nice thing about that is that's in the smart contract framework itself. So assets go in to escrow. The smart contract is told, hey, you've got some IST if only you satisfy the following requirements.
Yep.
And if it can satisfy them, great. But if the offer exits before that's satisfied, the infrastructure gives the money back. And the contract doesn't. And so it doesn't matter whether it's a rug pull, it doesn't matter whether it's a bug, it doesn't matter whether it's on purpose. The only thing the auctioneer can do is be a lousy auctioneer. They can't steal my money.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's a huge win because, again, billions of dollars have been lost to having contracts. I mean, there's contracts out there where either you can't exit, no one can get the money, or anyone can get the money, so you don't actually have security, or it's sitting on everybody's money and it failed to return it, right?
Yeah. Scary stuff. Now,
yeah, and we can get rid of that.
Yeah. So to everybody watching, if Agoric sounds like of something of interest to you, feel free to check out their official website at agoric.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the website, you will also see join the community, and you'll see their Twitter, their Telegram, I think that's the Discord button. I'm not a Discord user myself, but I think that's a Discord button. There's YouTube and LinkedIn socials as well. Feel free to join their awesome communities and say hello. Tell them Darko sent you from Huobi Global Live, and even hassle them a little bit. Make their jobs a little bit more harder, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, that's what we need, yeah.
Why not? Why not? Awesome. So, Dean, before we give this a wrap this evening, is there anything else you wish to discuss with regards to Agoric, or even anything else?
No, I mean, I'm really excited that, Huobi listed Agoric.
Congratulations.
We're
Nice.
one of the very first Cosmos chains listed there. Mostly because, it's a long-term project, right? This is about the long-term value of building a new economy. Yeah. But to do that, people have to have build tokens, right? They're going to have that in order to be able to set up their wallets once all this stuff on-chain, once all this stuff, not just our code, but other people's code to get access to that. And so, that's sort of a critical step forward in the ecosystem of having it be easier for engineers, developers, customers, what have you, to get build tokens to come participate. And so, it's going to be, lots of elements in this roadmap, not just ours, but as I said, other people in the community, from foundation to third-party developers that are already building. And we're just really excited to have more people in joining the community. And it's really about enabling them to join the community and bring their, again, it starts with the builders, bring their ideas, bring their requirements as customers, bring their development talents to be able to build the next generation of smart contracts in the world. So.
Nice. So Huobi your first listing, was it?
Huobi is our first listing, yes.
Oh, wow. Yep. Good start. Very good start.
DeFi is happening in the Asia market. That seems like the right place to have to have that listing. There's a lot of creative people, and getting them thinking about that model and how they can, take build and do something with it. That's what we want to have happen. So.
Nice. And once again, agoric.com. Feel free to check it out. There's plenty of information on the website. I only just went through the first page on the website, but there's plenty more to go through. And just quickly looking at it, I mean, by visiting the agoric.com website, you can also check out the wallet, the staking section, there's a vote section, the explorer section, there's economy, technology, security, papers and white paper, and so much more. You can even get involved. There's roadmap, events. You've got their socials, of course. They've got their own blog and company profile where you can check out the team. There's a career section and even a media kit for you to check out as well. And of course, a contact section for any other inquiries or even maybe some suggestions. You might have an extra idea for them. Perhaps they might be open to it. Why not? But that's more for the socials. Leave it for the socials.
That's right. Well, the other thing is we also have a site on commonwealth.io/Agoric. Where a lot of governance discussions happen for governance of the chain, which has been very active. And one of the exciting things is the community starting to take over the release process and deployment process. So,
nice.
Come join the community.
Why not? Like I said, join, say hello, tell them Darko sent you from Huobi, and give them a hard time. Nah, I'm just kidding. All right, cool. Well, it was a pleasure having you here tonight, and it felt like the interview went so fast.
It did. Thank you very much. You have been an awesome host. The questions you got from the community were great, and I look forward to hearing more from them. And
hopefully we get to see you back at some point in the future with further updates as well on Agoric. That'd be awesome as well. So,
happy
to everybody watching, please, if you are watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, share, and retweet this video. The more you share, the more you help us grow, the more you help Agoric grow as well. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, shout out to everybody there. And any other platform, there are so many. Shout out to everybody. If you can share this video, why not? We'd appreciate it, and we'll bring more and more in the future. All right, awesome. So Dean, once again, I thank you so much for coming. And I wish you all the best with future endeavors. And hopefully we see you back here soon. And until next time, please be safe, be healthy, trade wise, and as always, rock on.
Thank you.